Hello, everyone. I am Soda. I like to talk about healing and creativity and empowerment. And today I am here with the wonderful, enlightened Ngozi, my writer friend. And you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about your books?
Yes. Hi, my name is Ngozi T. Robinson, and I am uh, trying to write a lot of books. I started out in the pandemic with this book that I'd been carrying around with me in draft form for about 20 years. And I said, if I can't publish it now, then there's no chance for it. So I started with Awakening, book one of the To Wake and Sleep No More series. And then I went on to do a prayer journal. Are you there, God? It's me. And I started wanting to write cozy mysteries. So I started writing about Reverend Regina Grant. And this is a cover that you should recognize, Soda, because you
Just
put
a
it together.
little.
And I have a couple in that series. I wrote book two of Awakening called Anointing. And then I came out with The Joy of the Lord is My Strength, a 90-day full color prayer prayer journal. And so now I have six books, and
It's so crazy. And how many years?
um, has it even been three? I guess it's going on three now. So
The pandemic was, really hard for a lot of people, but it really helped people like you really get those dreams that you always wanted to do. So that's awesome at least. When did you start writing?
well, I love to read as a kid. So I think if you really love reading, then writing is not a big stretch. It's just something that happens. And I used to write way emo poetry as a teenager. I look back at that sometimes and said, oh, those were too many feelings all at once. Oh my goodness. And then I started to write prose as an adult. And so, like I said, my first book, I wrote it in draft form, over 20 years ago now. And so I've been at writing at least for 20 years.
And then, but your first book was published just during the pandemic, right?
Yes, it was. And it's very meaningful to me. I had wanted to do this. It's dedicated to my mom, and a lot of my a lot of my feelings about her are expressed in the book. So it's it was therapeutic to write, and it's so gratifying to have it out in the world, and people actually review it and they like it too. So go figure.
Do you want to talk more about kind of how writing has been therapeutic?
Sure. For me, I'm a person who writes to know. That's a term I use, and it basically means I sort out my feelings and discover the source of what's going on through the process of writing. So if I'm confused or upset or just a jumble of everything, if I start writing, the pieces, the strands kind of come together to form a cohesive thought, and I can figure out what's going on. And my books are a reflection of that. Sometimes when I get to the end of one, I go, huh, that was therapy for me. That massaged my heart on some issue, or that brought me to a whole new realization about how I'm going to relate to this concept or this person, or how I'm going to manage my grief, a variety of things. I find it um, that writing changes you if you let it. And it has changed me in the sense of um, really giving some clarity to my inner process and what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling.
Yeah, because I noticed that in what I've read from you, there's a lot of like your characters are doing a lot of self-reflection themselves and a lot of analyzing themselves. Is that kind of um like what you do with your own self and then you kind of put it in through your characters and then then the reader ends up analyzing themselves, so it seems like that's a big part of your thing.
Well, my characters, they all have these really rich interior lives. And I guess that's because I do. And I don't know a lot of, I imagine that a lot of people out in the world are just acting, they're doing more than they're thinking. But my characters are a reflection of me, and I guess I do a lot of thinking. So I walk through what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, and I notice that my characters love to do that too. That's always a challenge because you're supposed to show and not tell. So I try to strike that balance. But yeah, they are very reflective people, that's for sure. So you picked up on that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely did. And I noticed that the protagonist really seems to be on a quest to be strong, but also they need to accept help. And I didn't know if there were certain things in your life where you felt like you needed to be strong or you wanted to be strong, or what helped you shape your protagonists.
Well, I mean, that is one of my uh, eternal quests is can I do what I've been asked to do? Because I'm afraid of failing, and there's feelings of inadequacy there, which I think are common for a lot of people, particularly women in our society. So I'm a part of that whole thing. And I think the characters that come out of my imagination are always dealing with, do they actually have the power to engage their circumstances deliberately and with courage? They may not win, but they should feel like they're at least in a good fight.
You said you were a reader when you were younger. What are the kind of books that really inspired you and the kind of protagonists that inspired you? And what are some things that you wish you had more of when you were younger?
Well, my mom was a Black radical, so when I was very young, I was only allowed to read books about animals or that featured diverse characters in them. So I was reading a lot of different stuff than my cohorts, my cohort was at the time. And I think that that was really affirming for me, just to be able to see myself in the reflected in the story,
Mhm.
and to feel like that was normal and something to be celebrated. And I think that then as you get older, you're like, oh, this is not normal. Um, but I got into a wider range of some of the classics in high school. And it wasn't until adulthood that I really got into fantasy and sci-fi as a reader, which I feel like are some of the big impressions on how I write now. So a little dabbling all over the place, but whenever I engaged in stuff, it just all felt right. Like I didn't have to struggle. It was something that was welcome to me. It was something that expanded my horizons and made me feel a part of something.
I love that. What's the one thing that you would love to have people take away from your books more than anything?
Really, that it's tough, but so are you. and you can do whatever you're faced with. You have the resiliency within you. I think that is truly what I would love for people to be able to, feel like they can do it after they after they get to the last page and close the book. That would that would be so thrilling and such an honor.
Such a great message. That's awesome. Well, I know that you need to go, but I am going to put all the links down below if you want to make sure I have all
Yay.
of those. I'm pretty sure I have all of them, but and I want to say thank you again for meeting with me, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.